Greetings. Welcome to another section of Keep Believing Pete. And today I thought we would talk about odd sticking patterns. Not that they're odd, but all the different odd groupings that you can utilize. And I'm specifically thinking about the work that Gary Chaffee did in his book Sticking Patterns. And then later on he subsequently went into linear time playing with another book and so forth. And these sticking patterns just make it interesting to look at things a whole different way. And today we're going to explore that a little bit, and we might have to do some segments on this because it's complicated, but yet in a certain way you can boil it down and make it simple. So one of the first things, I have my metronome set on 78, and I'm working primarily right now in 16th notes, okay? Now I might take this drum mute up here just for the beginning part of this, just so you can get a clear picture of what might be going on here, okay? Put that on there. And then we'll work on the set. So, in his book, Sticking Patterns, he has a number of things about dynamics and some mechanics and so forth. But one of the very interesting sections that really starts to open a lot of doors for a lot of players is the system that he has of A, B, C, D, and E stickings. Now, you need the book to go through it all. We're not going to be able to do it here in 10, 12-minute video segment. But suffice to say, like one stroke followed by two, or one single, another single followed by two, so a single, or three. So you get this thing. So in the system, let's say one of the basic ones would be a single stroke followed by two doubles to get a 5, or a 3 would be single, 1 E N, 2 E N, right? So if I just wanted to do a odd sticking groupings of 3 to go through the measure in 16th notes, 1 E N, 1 E N, 2, 3. It's all 3, right? 1. So what do I have there? Oh, by the way, the metronome is set on, I have it on 78. So it's 1 E, and 2, and 3, and 4, just in groups of 3. So why might you do that? Well, the music might call for it, or it might be a fill-in, or it might be a way that you're working through a 4-bar exchange in a jazz or fusion setting. Okay? So it's one of the basic, what they call odd stickings. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So even with triplets, regular triplets, you have 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to have landings during different parts of the measure. 1 E. So it'd be like almost like an accent exercise. 1 E. That's just with 3 beats, right? Or if you wanted to put it on the back end. Okay? But what about when you want to get to 5 strokes? 4 strokes is a paradiddle. You can mix that with other things and you have some interesting things. But let's say you want to get to 5 strokes. Let's take one of the basic ones in the book, Sticking Patterns, which a lot of you probably have seen this and worked through it by now. A lot of the fusion players are playing some of these ideas, or a lot of these ideas, in a much more advanced way, a more elaborate way. But we're going right for the basics now, and then I'm going to just give you some ideas on how to practice this and get a very, strong foundation again. And then you can start creating and building from there. But let's say it was 5 strokes. 1 E N. So what is going on? 1 E N, 2 E N, 3 E N, 4. So it's 5 groups of 5. Joe Morello, who I studied with, as you know, had a whole series of articles, which at some later date we'll cover, in Modern Drummer, a whole series of exercises, and in advanced, studies, master studies too. Progressive accents, moving the accents, accenting every fifth note, then the seventh note, then the ninth note, 5, 7, 9, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7. This and that, actually, at some point, having looked at the material from both of these folks, I'm seeing a lot of similarities. But suffice to say, so that's a grouping of 5. 1, E, N, B, B, and 4, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and 4, and 4, and you can see that it's not going to land as it would be on more conventional sticking. Sometimes you land on the end, right? This is moving all around because you're grouping the notes in groups of 5. Wherever they happen, the 5 is, the segment is done, it's done. That's if you run it through the measure, right? Now there's another way of playing linear. And by the way, linear sticking comes about, or the ideas about linear are no two surfaces are struck at the same time. So you might say, well, gee, in all the history of the drum set, there's quasi-linear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So I'm doing two things at the same time. Suppose I leave the hi-hat out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now am I playing linear? I mean, But, what we're really getting at is you're going to be playing all different surfaces throughout the measure. Quasi-linear would be maybe only 1 or 2 surfaces throughout the measure. And you hear it in a lot of the progressive rock, fusion, even progressive jazz, that they're using these patterns and trying to go there. So we just want to talk about that. So now, the sticking is what we'll start with. So that's a group of 5. Suppose you want to do a group of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. I'm just using 1 followed by, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and doubles. One single, 2, so even slowing it down. 1 regular, just to find your place, right? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. And you can take it across the bar, of course. Now, we were working in 16th notes. So if you were to play groups of 7 in one measure, you're going to have 7 and 7 is 14. You have 2 notes left over. So what are you going to do with that space? I don't know. You're going to have a rest. You can play some strokes through it. You could play one of them and leave one out. That's for you to figure out with the music. If you want to go across several bars, then let's see. If there's 2 bars of 16th notes, you have 32 notes. If you play 7, 7, 7, 7, you have to do a little arithmetic, you have 28 notes. Now you got 4 left over. You might want to put a paradiddle in there. 1. Figure out what you want to do with that, and the music will dictate it a lot of times. All this is telling you is, hey, you could start thinking about grouping your stickings a lot of different ways. If you wanted to take 16th notes, or in jazz or swing music, triplets, and there's going to be 12 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you could do 5 and 7. So 5 and 7, 7 and 5. Of course, you know 1. That's 3, right? So you do your arithmetic and you figure it out. I'm working in 16th notes here because we're going to get to some drum set stuff. Now, suppose you want to apply this to the drum set. Okay, there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it as fills, you know, for fill-ins. So if a phrase came up, I don't have the snare drum on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, regular 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now we don't want to play just conventional sticking for whatever reason. There's why you might use it. Then you can learn to start combining the stickings. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 3 and a 5. It makes 8, and 8 is 16. Okay? Alrighty. That's working through the measure fills. Also, you could take a look at this and say, no, I want to phrase it differently. I want to take each note, let's say it's 4/4 time, and we're going to have 16th notes, but I'm going to play a group of, every time I play note number 1, let's say a right hand, I'm going to play 5 notes. When I come to a left hand, I'm going to play 3 notes. So it might be 1. So if I turn the metronome on slow, say you were in stick control. The first line is right, left, right, left. Every right's going to be 5 notes. Every left is going to be 3 notes. You could do it that way. 3, 4. Back to our segment on the table of time, you can see how that would also apply. Okay? One final thing we might want to cover here, and then we can take this into other segments, is, all right, so suppose I want to just start orchestrating this stuff and create some basic beats, aside from just the fill-ins. The way I would suggest starting is, it's not necessarily in Chafee's other books and so forth, but I would take some fixed patterns. So one such pattern, since we have already spent about 13 or 14 minutes on this, one such pattern might be, in the funk rock sort of, or straight ahead sound, you could always look at some jazz later, would be in 16th notes, groupings of 5. I want you to place the bass drum on every 4th note, and the hi-hat's it's going to pattern like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can get your pattern going. Say you wanted to just do it for one measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just filling in that last note because you only have 15 notes there, and it's 16 notes in that kind of measure. So, why do I say that? Well, you know, do you have to have the bass drum only on 4? No, naturally, as we do with a lot of segments, you can start moving things around. But to start with, 1, 2, so you have 5 notes. Foundation of it, you could start moving that around. You could take the bass drum and put it on the 3rd note. You could play with these patterns all day and start making just groups of 5s. Naturally, we're not going to talk about 7s and 6s and 4s and combining 5s with 7s and running those through the bars. The only thing I would say for this segment is we'll have to cover this in other segments, and then we can also look at this in a jazz context. Right now, I'm looking at it straight ahead, is, you know, you would say, okay, Pete, I can move these bass drum things around, I can write out several combinations for myself, I can do it in the proper tempos and work it up, orchestrate it. But where am I going to use this? Well, it depends upon the musical setting. You might use it as a 2-bar contrasting. You might use it during a bridge. You might use it just as a transition. You might use it for one measure at a time. If you're in a progressive rock band or a fusion band, you may have way more use of these things. Or if you're doing fills and you're saying, oh, I want to start thinking about this in a different way, welcome to the world of different stickings. And as I said, you write them out in this case, work with your metronome. That was just a basic one that you could easily start building upon. And that's the theme of the channel. So, pick up Chafee's Sticking Patterns. It's been out there for a while. It has a CD. He has some other books. We'll talk about other things as we go throughout next year. We'll come back to this topic. It's got a lot of different things going on there. Get the basic sticking patterns down on a practice pad and then on your snare drum. Because there's a few different, he's got the A, B, C, D, and E suggested sticking patterns. And then you can branch out beyond that as well. Then you start picking out some basic orchestrations and getting familiar with that, and you're off to the races building a whole different vocabulary as to how you want to group things. And then, as I said, having looked at this from another, like the geologists, they look at the rock layers. I looked at this with Joe Morello through the moving accents. So we started moving accents around, and Joe has a series of articles on that. We can cover that at some later date, getting into the more heady stuff, but when you want to do fills, you can start moving your accents and placing them at different parts and crossing over the bar. Guess what? You're going to wind up in some of the same places, interestingly. Okay? So, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so we can bring you a lot more material, a lot more interesting things. If you have questions, please do that. And if you want to contact me at my website, keepthebeatwithpete.com. And we talk about exploring this in lessons and a lot more detail. It's all up to you. Thanks for watching once again, and remember, create the beat you keep. Peace out.